Right, we're back in action. Chef David Burke, cooking with David Burke and Lefto, my man, and he's doing a little plug for Tunnel to Towers. He's got his hat on, and we met Frank Stiller a couple weeks ago. I was in the green room we were doing Fox and Friends. Cardinal Dolan was there, Frank from Tunnel to Towers, Kathy Lee Gifford, myself. It was great. It was around the holidays. Anyway, hats off to Tunnel to Towers and everything you do, and everybody else we met that day. They do a great job. Anyway, Lefto's a fan. Fossil Farms, thanks for sending all of your great meats and all the stuff you've done for us, Lance. Thank you for helping out throughout the years. We got some charcuterie Lefto's been nibbling on. Pork. My clothesline bacon is a signature dish. It's been copied all over the world. In fact, I got off a cruise ship, Holland America, which I work for, in Lisbon, and I was looking at Time Out magazine. It was a picture of my clothesline bacon, and I went to the restaurant that served it there in Lisbon and was quite flattered that they were serving my bacon. They didn't believe me when I told them it was my creation, but who cares? But the clothesline bacon we showed on one episode. We'll show it to you now. Here. And now, luckily, thanks to Chris Shea, we have what we call a pork shank, Crackling Pork Shank, Firecracker Apple Sauce, 1996, won Best Dish in the USA by USA Today, Best Dish in America. This is what it looked like. It was on the Maloney Porcelli sister restaurant to Smith & Wollensky, 1996. My partners at the time, the investors, begged me not to put it on the menu. We had to argue to put it on the menu. I had been in a Hofbrau house in Munich earlier that year and had a Schweinehaxen, that's what they call it. And I did it in the French confit method. Anyway, we don't serve it at all our restaurants. It's a very labor-intensive dish, but wow, is it great. Pork shank, clothesline bacon, another signature dish we're gonna make. And this is a dish I've been doing for years, but you stole it, right? No, I didn't steal it, but I borrowed the idea from a great late chef named Jasper White up in Boston. He was a Jersey boy. He had a Portuguese pork chop with chorizo and clams, and I had eaten it up there as a student and in Boston at a restaurant called Jasper's that he had, and we became friends. Anyway, he did a version of this. This is my version of it to him, but I give credit when it's due, and he deserves the credit on inspiring me for this dish. So we're going to get to work on that. You take a seat. All right, pork chops. I got a hot pan. I got pork chops. This is a big chop. This is like 12, 14 ounces. I'm gonna just trim it a little bit, all right? Now, and you can buy it, and you see what I'm doing? Just going along the bone, and I'm trimming it this way. Now, I got an extra steak. I got a Lefto pork chop. Now, I still got a nice sized pork chop, right? I don't have to pound it. This is still about 9 ounces, 8 ounces, and I got another steak. I'll cook both of them at the same time. We don't need so much meat. I mean, I'm in a steakhouse business too, but we don't need to eat 25-ounce ribeyes, in my opinion. Olive oil. Now, because I'm adding olive oil to the pan because we're gonna make the sauce in the pan. So now I got a hot pan, very hot, and I got my pork chop. So I'm gonna put the pork chop in. I'll add salt, pepper in a bit. Here's a skinny pork chop and a thicker pork chop. So back to the pork shank. This came out in 1996. It's crackling, it's sauerkraut, jalapeno applesauce or firecracker applesauce. And we did a pineapple, a mustard and pineapple glaze on there. And that was, I'm telling you, people came from all over. I know Drew Nearparan, who's a great restaurateur, my cookbook editor at the time, and many other people. Frederick Sonnenschmidt, from the CIA, born and raised in, I think, Bavaria. He would come in and eat that and say that he'd tuck his napkin in and say it reminded him of his childhood. So it's one of those dishes. And certain dishes evoke memories like that. Childhood, that crackling skin. Look at this. Look at that. And you bite into this. It's fabulous. This is cuisine. It's cooking. It's not cookie cutter. You got to get in. You got to cure this for 3 days. Cook it in pork fat. Pork chop is cooking. Man, it's good. I'm telling you. And again, I haven't eaten in a while because I don't make it as much anymore. That's cooking. So we got 2 pork chops. Well, 1 pork chop that I cut into 2. So, and then we're going to, waiting for some seasoning. We're going to add the clams in a moment. We'll take this out because it curled up. Because I gotta cut the band. Here, I'll weigh it down. So now we got a minute steak of pork and a pork chop. Here we go, salt and pepper. Coat your salt, put your ground black pepper. Okay, got a nice caramelization, both sides. Here you go. Next is to add the clams. I got some cherry stones. Little necks, I'm sorry. The clam, I live in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, on the Raritan Bay, and that is the clam capital U.S. And I grew up there, a little town called Hazlitt. And I love clams raw. I like them cooked. You don't see them on menus as much, but the people that like them, like them. But when they're cooked, they're fabulous. And they're raw, they're fabulous. It's got to be fresh, of course. So, this is the dish, the pork chop. Hopefully the clams will steam and be open, be friendly to us. But back to the pork shank. So the pork shank, like I said, Alan Stillman, my partner at the time, great visionary restaurateur. We were arguing about putting this on the menu, and they were like, it'll never sell in New York City. Pork doesn't sell in a steakhouse. And I stood my ground. I said, I think this is a great dish. It should sell. And it looked just like that. Anyway, it went on to win Best Dish, and it was on the menu at Maloney and Porcelli, no longer there, East 50th Street, 30 years. And it started at $19.95, and then it went up to whatever. And it was a very well copied. It wasn't copied as much as the bacon on a clothesline because it's hard to make. You got to cure the meat for 3 days, like a duck confit. Cook it. You need a big vat to cook it in. And then you got to be able to, you crisp it up in the deep fryer, first in the oven. But boy, like I'd want to be in that whole thing. Pork, you keep it, don't overcook it. Pork chop here. Clams take a long time to open. You got to get a really hot pan. So I'm going to get the pork chop here. Clams, and we'll let that cook as I talk about another dish. So in order to get these things steamed, I'm going to keep that one big pork chop in. This is basically cooked already. A little pink, but I'll let that rest. So in here, we're going to put some shallots, some garlic, good amount of garlic, with the oil. Let it rip. Some red pepper flakes. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Some peppers in general. Red and yellow. And we'll add the peas. I got some lemon here. I put some lemon in there. We use a lot of this lemon rind. But you can see like the clams are getting hot. So we're gonna add some white wine. We're gonna seal it up and let those clams steam a little bit. So we'll let that sit there. Steam! See the one pork chop here? It cooks very quickly, look. Again, you can use that as a Scooby snack. You can use that for a salad. And again, it's enough for a portion, so it'll be the smaller portion. Back to the pork shank. The shank is from this is a hind shank, like an ossobuco of pork. You see all this crispy, beautiful skin that comes off? Then you have this confit meat in the center. Look, I mean, just gorgeous. And people would eat this whole thing, and you need something digestive like sauerkraut, cabbage. But I'm telling you, if we have this on the menu, you get an opportunity to try it, you really should. Fall off the bone, and all that crispy crackling. Fantastic. Even like that. Okay, this is cooking a little way. So I'm going to take the pork chop out, let it rest. And I got my clams, I'm going to let them keep steaming. Clams are stubborn. They're stubborn. They don't want to open. You got to get them nice and hot, or you can somewhat pre-open them a little bit. There's another way to open clam, help open. I learned this during the pandemic when Barnegat oysters, thank you they were sending me oysters to my house. By the way, my office, if anybody wants to send me anything, 9 Hooper Avenue, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, 07716. 9 Hooper. And that's where the office is. And that's where we receive any samples of anything you want us to try. Barnegat Oyster sent me oysters beginning of the pandemic. I didn't have an oyster knife at home. So I put them in the microwave for 45 seconds to 60, and they opened slightly and did not cook the flesh, the oyster. Just coddled it a little bit. But then I went in there with a butter knife and opened it. It's a great way for someone at home to open oysters without trying to hurt yourself. Just microwave them for 45 to a minute. Even if longer, if you want, the thing will open and you'll have a coddled oyster, and then you could actually put a warm sauce on it. Pretty interesting how that happened. So clams are cooking. I didn't add the chorizo yet, I don't think. I'm gonna add some watercress also to that toward the end. It'll wilt in. Then we're gonna do, our next dish is gonna be a tenderloin of pork. Now, the pork chop I'm gonna put here. And I'm gonna put my mini pork steak over here. And we're waiting now to make the sauce, and that's what we're doing with the clams. The next cut of meat is, what do you guys pay for the tenderloin?
$17, Chef.
For 4 of them.
4.
So look at this. These 4 items, tenderloin of pork. This is the filet mignon of pork. $17. 18, call it. $4 each. $4.50 for this. It's the greatest deal out there. Pork tenderloin. It's filet mignon of pork. There's not a big demand for it in restaurants. There's not a big demand for it. That's why the price, I imagine, is so. The clams are looking good. Look at the clams. They're starting to open. It smells great. Give it another minute or two. But I wanted to teach you about pork tenderloin because I think the value is amazing. You don't see it in restaurants a lot because you got to cook exactly correctly because it's very lean. A pork chop has a little more fat to it, right? And obviously spare ribs and a pork shank does too. But this is lean, which is actually healthier for you. And we'll get to that next. We're going to do a nice BLT salad with that pork tenderloin. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Let's finish the sauce. You see the clams are open. Thank you. Now, all the clam juice is in there, right? All that garlic, that good stuff. I'm gonna add more garlic because it's smelling good. I got some roasted garlic. Put a couple. See that roast garlic we talked about on a different episode? Just squeeze it out. It's like peanut butter. Man, is that rich too. Nice, right? Chorizo goes in now. You don't have to have chorizo. You can use another sausage. All right, I'm gonna add a little brown jus. Au jus, or veal stock. This is delicious. One of my favorites. It's not the easiest dish for a cook in a restaurant to make, to order, but man, is it worth it. You can get all these goodies inside the clams. All right, okay. Plate the time. Go to the plate. Lots of chives. All right. Got more lemon going in. And we hit to the plate. Now you know. We got a nice ragu here. We got 2 plates. Let's do number 1 first. So we're going to open up. We're going to start plating clams. We need about 5 to go. And I try to build the dish. It's called building a dish. You want to build it? All right, and I'm the customer looking at it this way. I build the dish like that. Here, in this case, it's a little different. Yeah, I got 2 ways of doing it. This one is height. This one is symmetrical around this way, a little simple. Now, I got all my goodies, my sauce. See that? It's a ragu. You fill up the clams. Right? Look at that. And here, a little bit more lemon, candies, and then you have a Portuguese pork chop. This is a great home dish too. And also clams are inexpensive. Now you have a smaller piece of meat with that beautiful clam, a little lemon wedge would be nice with that too. And here's the minute steak of pork, the smaller chop, or again, you could use the tenderloin. Look how beautiful the sauce is. In the pan, easy. You just gotta pay attention and do it a few times. Pork chop, garlicky clams and chorizo Portuguese style. Jasper White, thank you. And then you got the pork shank, which is just inspirational. Of course, we showed you our candied bacon. Next, pork tenderloin. We're gonna be back in a moment. I gotta double check with my left-hand man. And we're gonna do pork tenderloin BLT kind of salady. And we're gonna do spare ribs with shrimp and shrimp chips barbecue.
For chefs and culinary professionals, the Chef's Warehouse is more than a supplier. It's a trusted partner in crafting unforgettable dishes. Known for sourcing the finest ingredients from around the globe, they deliver everything from artisanal cheeses and fresh seafood to specialty meats and gourmet pantry staples. With over 35 years of dedication to quality and innovation, the Chef's Warehouse is the go-to resource for those who demand the best. Discover how they help elevate kitchens everywhere at chefswarehouse.com.
All right, here we are, pork tenderloin. We talked about the pork shank, pork chop of clams, chorizo, pork tenderloin, best value on the market at this point, I think. That's, you can roast it like this, pan roast it like this. I'm gonna cut them in half. Like I said, I'm gonna cook one whole, and I'm gonna cook one minute steak. But here's my oil. Thank you, Cola Vida. I don't think they were with us, but you can cut it like this into filet mignons, like a. But I'm gonna cut it this way because I'd like to break the rules, right? And that's gonna be a portion. So is that. And again, we're gonna cook one of these whole just to show you how quick it cooks. And I'm gonna cook these two like this. So this is a tenderloin split in two. Well, you can pound it down a little bit. They make a hammer for that, like a meat mallet, but careful with the knife doing that. But look how beautiful that is. So I got one here. I didn't season it, but I will. And I'm gonna season these two. And they're good, like a steak of poivre. You pound that, press that pepper and salt in. So it's a tenderloin cutlet, basically. Now, you could bread this and make a pork cutlet, too. But I just want to show you the value in a supermarket or anywhere. To buy this is really something else. Why it's not, I don't think they market it well, or, again, it gets dry if you overcook it, but we're not going to overcook it because we cut it thin. Okay, I'm going to make a small BLT salad with avocado with this, so it's simple. And then we'll move on to another dish. So this is cooking quickly. I have some lettuce leaves, so I'm gonna sear that off. I got some bacon that's cooked off. I'm just gonna put this in here just to warm it up. It's already cooked, so don't let me confuse you. And I got tomatoes, avocado, Brussels sprouts, jalapeno applesauce. This is the applesauce that's called Firecracker Apple Sauce. We made it this morning. It's apples and lemon juice and vinegar and jalapenos, and boy, is it good. And so think about applesauce, like even if you buy a store-bought, take it out, heat it up, add some lemon juice, some vinegar, maybe some tarragon, some thyme, and add some jalapeno or jalapeno jam, and you got something. You just woke up the applesauce that's been sleeping since the 1950s in our cupboards. But if it was for applesauce as a kid, I would have starved to death. It saved my meals. Well, my mom was a pretty good cook, but okay, look at that. This one is the whole one, again, nice and brown. Got a little bit of warmth on the bacon. Look at this. Look at this steak. Gorgeous, right? This is coming on our menu. What I'm gonna do, because I can, is I'm gonna brown up this lettuce. Right in that same fat. And I'll add a little bit of more oil. All right, so we got that steak au poivre, pork style. All right, I got the bacon here, nice and crispy. I got chicharrones and shrimp chips, which we're gonna add as well. Shrimp chips you can buy online. They're little pellets and you fry them and they get crispy. And the chicharrones you can buy online too, although we made these ourselves. This is pork skin, crackling. All right, and we're gonna dip them in a little bit of glaze here, like that. Some garnish. Same with the shrimp chip. We'll do that a couple times. Okay, anyway, that's our texture and flavor. Oh, here we go. Cooked already. We're gonna get the lettuce a little more brown. Here's the whole piece. Takes a little longer. Look at that, beautiful. I'm gonna brown it up just a knob a little bit more. That's a little bit pink. I'll give it another minute. Another minute. We'll start to make. I'm going to add some Brussels. Brussels sprouts are blanched. I got avocado as well. So I've never made this dish. So, but I'm because I don't sell pork tenderloin and I don't eat at home. So I'm making it because I know it's of interest to a home cook. But because I know how to cook, I know what to make. Because it's a long plate, I got a long piece of meat, I got a long plate. And I know I got my lettuce leaves down here. First thing going down is my jalapeno applesauce. All right, you can go easy on the sauce, you can always add more. And I got my lettuce. My lettuce here, which is, I got some Brussels. Now I know I got a nice, beautiful steak. And this, my friends, is cooked. This one is out, cooked, and I got the whole one still cooking. Get rid of my lettuce leaf. I have tomatoes. It is called a BLT. So I'm gonna take this out to rest. You got the idea that this could be cut. And I'll put this, actually I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna cook it. You got Brussels sprouts browning up. Again, lettuce leaves like this still works. You don't have to get rid of it. I'm gonna put the tomatoes in with the Brussels. They'll give off a little bit of juice. You got a little bit of shallot. All that olive oil will disappear. You know, shallots, olive oil, nice colorful stuff. Bacon. Again, this is simple cooking. This is simple cooking. It's tomatoes, it's Brussels, it's a couple lettuce leaves. You make the sauce ahead of time. Jar it yourself. Think about it. Cranberry sauce, applesauce. Easy to make. Go buy a case of apples. Great gift. Culinary religion. Share it with your neighbors. All right? The last time you made applesauce? Never. All right, so I'm gonna take this out because it's in my way of me making something nice, okay? A little bit more of my favorite thing, lemon. And I'm gonna put some butter. Okay, now I got the shallots here, lemon, tomatoes, all that. Now this is our warm tomato and Brussels, right? So it's kind of very simple. Is it a BLT? Yeah, it's a BLT. It's not a sandwich. But look at this stuff, right? Got a little bacon fat in there too. It's a pork tenderloin. This dish costs $3.50, $4 to make. Right, you want more bacon, you can add more bacon. Here's the shrimp chips. You can add that if you like. The shrimp chips are for my next dish, actually. So I'm gonna keep these off. But these are the chicharrones. One of the reasons pork tenderloin is so lean, needs a little fat. So we'll give it a little fat. We'll give it some chicharrones, right? And if you want, you can throw some avocado on the plate for texture and fat. And now you got a fiesta. Look at that. It's a lot on the plate. It's a half a tenderloin. This is a pork dish. We call this a BLT, a pork tenderloin. It's got avocado, bacon, tomato, Brussels sprouts, jalapeno applesauce, or firecracker applesauce, as we called it at Maloney and Porcelli in 1996. But let me get back to this. This goes back in there. But here's our tenderloin, the half piece. Look at that. Tastes good. It's lean. It's pork. It cooks quickly. It's very economical. And it leads itself to a great presentation. It's lettuce. A couple of things from Produce. Marble Produce, thank you. Kevin McGrinder, thank you. Chef Warehouse, thank you. Lefto, thank you. The crew that's shooting, great job. So this is the first time I made this. But by cooking for so long, I know what I can put together. I mean, you need mise en place. Mise en place is having everything organized. I got a couple helpers too. But this is a dish that I'd be happy to eat. It's got texture, it's got color, it's got nutrition, it's got creaminess, it's got simplicity, and happy with it. We're gonna go to spare ribs next. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna clean up. We're gonna go do spare rib dish, and we're gonna do apple fritters.
At Marvel Produce, we bring the freshest fruits and vegetables from farm to table with unmatched quality. For years, we've partnered with local growers and global suppliers to ensure every product meets our high standards of freshness and flavor. Whether you're a chef crafting gourmet meals, a grocer stocking your shelves, or a family looking for the best produce, Marvel Produce is your trusted source. Our commitment to sustainability and excellence is at the heart of everything we do. Marvel Produce, delivering freshness you can count on. Explore more at marvelproduce.com.
Good to be back again, Chef David Burke with Lefto. We've got a St. Louis rack of spare ribs in front of us, and I just trimmed off what appears to be a skirt steak, which I'm gonna save for another use. But I have spare ribs here. I got one of my own. Thank you. Roasting rack. So simply, we're gonna put a little salt, pepper on it, rub it in. I got a little dry rub too. It's got a combination of all kinds. Ryan, what's in the dry rub?
You have chili, cayenne,
Sweet spices. Cumin, chili, cayenne.
brown sugar,
There you go.
5 spice.
That's what I smell, 5 spice. And this is gonna go on, salt and pepper, of course. And it's gonna go in the oven. Right, we're gonna bake this for an hour and a half or so, till it's tender. Simply like this. Then we'll add sauce and all the other good stuff. So, in the oven, we've got a barbecue sauce, pre-made. You can buy one. Emerald makes a good one. I've used his on emergencies when I was up in Tapawingo or Charlevoix years and years ago, making a barbecue squab with foie gras cornbread cake. He doesn't even know I used it. And I didn't have time to make one, and there was a couple of chefs there, Charlie Trotter, rest in peace, John Joho, a couple of others, Jean-Louis Paladin, who passed away as well. And we did this great event up there, and I bought Emerald's Kraft, I think it was Kraft, Emerald's barbecue sauce, because I had no time to make it. And I put limes in it, and cilantro in it, and chilies, and all this other stuff, and I hid all those bottles in it, and they kept coming by saying, man, it's the best barbecue sauce ever. And these are world-class chefs. Anyway, if you don't want to make it, buy a decent base and then take the sugar out of it, right? Sometimes they're sweet. They got too many thickeners in it. Add some orange juice, add some chilies, and season it up and make it your own. Because it's a lot of work to make everything yourself. So take it and own it and do some revisions to it, or make your own. We have one in my cookbook that has coffee in it. We call Cowboy Barbecue Sauce, and it's really good. So we're going to do the spare ribs, and it's not that we do a lot of surf and turf things, but spare ribs are great. And like I said, you can serve them in a pub, you can serve them as a tailgate, you can serve them in a southern restaurant, you can serve them in a lot of places. If you want to serve them in a fine dining restaurant, you got to add something. Shrimp, octopus, you got to make it more interesting than a rack of ribs. Number one, you can't charge for it, and number two, it needs to be a little more interesting. So, in fact, years ago, I used to boil the ribs and take the bones out and replace the bone sockets with asparagus. And we used to grill them. There were asparagus stuffed spare ribs. I'm not saying it's really a lot of work. And 1 in 50% of the ribs, the elastic fat breaks, and it doesn't work. But you can make spare rib home fries with all that, or pulled pork. Still worthy of a try. Or salsify, for those that know what salsify is. That looks just like a bone. So that's the fun in cooking. So we got our spare ribs in. Obviously, I pre-cooked some. So we're gonna, and I have some polenta. Quick note on polenta. It's cornmeal. There's instant, and there's, if you ever watched about cooking grits, man, it takes a long time, but you can get polenta. It cooks a little quicker. No honest gentleman, Southern gentleman is doing instant grits, but polenta can be okay. And we add some jalapeno jack cheese and some Parmesan cheese, and you got something really, really delicious, and lots of butter, of course. So I got my polenta on the side. I made some onion rings, tempura onion rings with some herbs. All right, I'm going to heat these up too. But I'm going to, onion rings are easy to make. Again, you can use the pancake batter if you want. That's a quick tempura. Tempura, flour and water. You can, again, everything's available. You can Google Chef David Burke's tempura or any other online recipe. Succotash is another thing that's seasonal usually. We're going to make our own version of it. And we're going to add shrimp. And I got octopus. An octopus, believe it or not. There's a guy in New York called Octoman. I think he's still around. I got some shrimp, I got spare ribs, I got everything I need, right? Barbecue, shrimp and grits makes sense. So we got some grits, we got polenta and barbecue, so that's where that comes. I thought I'd throw this in. You can buy octopus cooked. If you want to buy a whole one, it's a lot of work and it's kind of scary, but it is fun. But if it's cooked already, and we're going to make a nice salad with this too, but I'm going to show you that you can just cut it like this, and it's cooked and you can make a beautiful salad. So that might be what we use for our leftover dish. We're going to do apple fritters, but I'm going to show you how to sear this and shrimp. The skirt steak I'm going to put away for a rainy day because I've got my spare ribs in the oven. So the focus is pork today and a couple of combinations with pork. Like I said, for me to sell pork, I can do a pork chop with clams. I can do a pork chop with fruits also. But if I want to sell spare ribs, I'm going to have to make it the spare rib, the carrier for the other part of the dish, which would be octopus, shrimp, lobster. At least that's how I feel. And of course, I need olive oil. Pork ribs are inside cooking already. And then I got the grits, the polenta's hot. So I'm going to put the shrimp in. Octo. Yep. If you're looking for cooked octo, you can Google Octoman. I mean, and you can get what you need. You don't have to buy the whole octopus now. A lot of people don't know how to cook them. So I got shrimp cooking. And I've got octopus cooking, and it is bubbling away. And I do have an octopus plate, which is, if you're looking at this, we're going to get to that in a momento. I have corn here, a little corn relish I already made. I'm going to saute that as well. I got apples. I got moutarde. I got lemons. I got some green beans. Pickled blueberries. Some red onion. This is all part of it. And I got the cowboy barbecue sauce. And here we're cooking. The sound of pleasure in the pan. And it's amazing how octopus got so popular over the last decade. Anyway, cooking that up. Let me get a plato. You see, this is how it comes. It's already tender. Oh. You might want to boil it another 20 minutes when you get it. Of course, lots of salt and pepper. Shrimps are cooked. Let them rest here a minute. Get the octopus a little bit more caramelized. I'll throw some scallions in with the shrimp. Now I have the succotash I'm going to heat up. A little bit more onion. Smells good. Corn, even frozen corn is good. But when it's in season, boy, is it good. Love using it. And with the polenta and the jalapeno jack cheese. So you got a little barbecue, a little southern thing going on, a little Portuguese thing going on, American thing going on. A little yumminess, a little deliciousness. Oh, look at this. So we cut the ribs. We glazed them with the barbecue. And look how they came out. Gorgeous. Wow. Now, the polenta's here. I'm going to make a platter family style today. Hot polenta. And in polenta, in Italy, in Tuscany, I guess where polenta is, they serve it on a board. You go to restaurants, they serve it on a wooden board, length of a table, and you just dip bread in there and different stuff. And it's a big ceremony. Big to-do. Tradition. We should honor tradition. Anyway, here's the polenta. Now I'm going to put some ribs down. Look at that. I'm going to cut them. I'm going to put one base down this way. I made a mess on the plate, but I'm going to cut a few. Well, this is more of a family style dish, which is what we're trying to do anyway. So. It smells so good. Okay, so you've got ribs. You got messy ribs, which I don't know if there's any other way, but it's good. And you've got succotash. So I got some octo. The octopus I'm going to leave here and I'm going to cut up a little bit, because you should be able to serve yourself. The corn, which is delicious, I'm going to fill in the gaps here. It smells so good. All right. You can put a little bit more corn on the side. There you go. Polenta, corn. I have my shrimps with olive oil. This is for a family of 4 at least. All right. I also have a little bit of freshness from thinly sliced apples. All right. You can freshness. Octopus I'm going to leave off for now. You could certainly serve it with it. I also have one last touch. They're pickled blueberries. And if you haven't pickled a blueberry or a blackberry, man, is it good. All it is the fruit, equal part white wine, I don't even need white wine vinegar, and sugar. And let them sit for a night. Pickled fruit, and especially if you have blueberries or blackberries that are not lasting in your fridge. So this is barbecue spare ribs with polenta or grits, shrimp, pickled blueberries, and a little succotash. And that is a beautiful dish. Not only is it beautiful, it's delicious. And again, that's something, if you can pull this off for a date, grand slam. If you can pull it off for 4, grand slam. And the second date dish with that, if there is anything left over, tremendous. But, you know, the ribs take XYZ to bake, dry rub, polenta's quick, shrimp quick, and then you got corn. If you need frozen corn, then do it. But I'm trying to teach you presentation, how to build a dish. This is architectural, obviously. But, you know, if you saw that in a magazine, you'd be like, maybe I can't make that. You can make it. You can make it. If you can't make it, do it separately and eat it together, okay? So the idea is to get a little bit of exposure to the mind of a chef and the creativity and the presentation. Talk about how easy it is to build a dish, and we go from there. I mean, you can disassemble, just do ribs and then a platter of shrimp and help themselves like people normally do at home. Or you can get a little bit more bold, creative, and do something like that. But the takeaway for some of this is the clams here, the tenderloin being of great value, and the chicharrones. Oh, one thing I forgot. If you want, you can use the shrimp chips too. Serve them on the side. The shrimp chips can scoop up the polenta. And now we're getting busy, don't get me wrong. But that is great, right? So you got the clams, lemony, citrusy. This is a different kind of dish. This is a wow factor. But all of it goes together. The takeaway here is, look how great those blueberries look. They look like baby olives. Right? But they're surprising. They aid in digestion, it's utilization, and they're gorgeous. Right? And the onion rings could be served on the side. The onion rings also can be served with applesauce, sour cream and applesauce as a snack, right? If you're going to be frying anything, onion rings are certainly beautiful and delicious. Where they went, why they get taken off the fast food restaurants, I don't know. But they disappeared. But I haven't met a person that doesn't like an onion ring. In fact, if I die and come back to life, I want to be an onion ring. And they are beloved. And these are tempura with different dipping sauces, etc. And talk about economical. You just have to get some oil out and fry. Our next move for him, leftovers, because we have apples on this dish, applesauce on the pork shank, we have leftover apples. We're going to do apple beignets. Now, the apple fritters are going to be made with pancake batter. We have pancake batter left. We have apples left. We're going to make apple fritters. And that'll be next. And I hope you enjoyed this episode with the pork tenderloin, pork chop, spare ribs with shrimp, pork shank. And next is, and then we're going to do a little octopus pork salad. And that'll be leftover dish. But the idea of being able to do an octopus salad with any of the spare ribs or just a salad in general, good idea. You might see that after the break. We want to get the apples done first.
Welcome to Off the Hook Seafood, your trusted source for premium wholesale seafood. From ocean to table, we deliver the freshest catch, ensuring quality and excellence for your business. We specialize in servicing restaurants, hotels, country clubs, catering halls, private chefs, markets, stadiums, and any other institutions. Off the Hook Seafood, where freshness meets reliability.
All right, Lefto, this is his favorite time now, right? So a couple of things to review. We did some great pork dishes, right? And then we did an octopus Caesar, which was, a little addition, but, octopus in a salad, great. And we made the jalapeno apple sauce for the pork. We had apples on the beautiful spare ribs. So we had extra apples. We also made pancakes. We made the pancakes and, for a salmon episode previously, but pancake batter, easy, right? So now we're going to do apple fritters. Yeah, man. With pancake batter. So fresh apples. We have a little bit left. And I'm going to put him off to the side. Flour with cornstarch. Flour and cornstarch, pancake batter, and apple. We've got the apples like this. Pretty simple. Yeah. Right? You can put some cinnamon in there. I got oil in the back frying, hot oil. And again, this is easy for home use. Give me my stick back. There you go. Back in the saddle, pal. So now I've got apples. Now I'm going to dip it in the pancake batter. Again, this is no-brainer stuff, but fun. That's my cake pop tree that we serve in our restaurants at Cake Pops, which I created in the 90s. The original cake pop. Made that one. Another one here. And you could even put a little powdered sugar in with the cornstarch and the flour if you wanted to. But I'm going to bring this to the stove, fry it. You can see that and they're just frying away. Easy peasy, right? Pancake batter can be used in many ways. You could actually make onion rings with pancake batter, thin it out a little bit with some water, season it, add some herbs, and fry the onion rings. Use a nice thick pot when you're using fryer oil. Make sure the hood is on. Only put it halfway with the fat. Make sure what you put in small batches so it doesn't overflow, and keep it away from the kids. It's very hot, and your pets. And then when you let it cool before you strain it or clean it, leave it overnight. And you can use the oil a few times, strain it out. But this is gorgeous. Again, simple cooking. It's apple fritters. Look at the presentation. And the apple cooks. The pancake batter is easy. And you can dip this in maple syrup. You can take your applesauce, add maple syrup, whipped cream, berries. Look. That's it. That was pretty fast. Like, reminds me of the Jersey Shore Boardwalk. Zeppelis, right? Come and get them. And to me, this is a lot of fun. So I appreciate you watching, and I hope you're learning. I'm having fun teaching and cooking. and utilizing your imagination and your resources and your products, and sharing our recipes. So this would be how we'd serve something in our restaurant. A little bit more whimsical and fun. This is how we serve our cake pops. Whipped cream, there's maple syrup, cinnamon, powdered sugar. And this is me saying goodbye. Thank you for watching. Chef David Burke and Lefto here to create for you and teach and hopefully inspire you to get in the kitchen and be creative. So have a nice night.